Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I want to thank everyone who have subscribed so far. And I want you to continue to share the video with your family and your friends. And also to, if you have come across this video and you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. And also share with your other family and friends, and let's grow this community. Okay, so I'm here to start this video. I'm going to talk about expectations versus reality when you're migrating to a different country. So as you guys know, I'm from Canada, and basically I migrated from a developing country, which is Jamaica. So let's talk about that. Everybody know they have expectations when they're going to moving from their country to another country, and most time we're moving because we want a better life, right? We feel that these first world countries can offer us something more, and we want to, acquire that in order to help our families back home, the ones that haven't come with us, right? So with that being said, our expectation is that we're gonna come, we're gonna get a job, we're gonna build ourselves, and 95% of the individuals who have migrated from a developing countries or any other country might not be developing, because some people migrate from a first world country to another first world country. But for this video, I'm speaking to individuals who basically come from a developing country like Jamaica, other Caribbean countries. So basically what I'm saying is that we have expectations. We have expectations, and the expectations that we come with or have when we transition into that country, it might not be the reality. And I should put out a disclaimer: this video is not being made to discourage anyone who is thinking about migrating or in the process of migrating to come to a first world country, whether you're going to America, Canada, England, or any other first world country, because those are not the only three, right? But those are the ones that are the most prominent. So we always have expectations, and the expectation is that we're gonna better ourselves. Okay, so as I was saying before, it's not to discourage anybody, it's just to open your eyes, so at least when you come, you're not shocked by certain things. You can say, okay, I have a heads up, and I decide that, okay, I'm still gonna do it because I can find my way around, because I got a heads up. Okay, or I won't fall into the pitfall of what other person have gone before me, use their experience to not fall in there, you know make the same mistake, put it that way. So in order to, the thing on our mind is always, we're gonna make that money, and in order to make that money, we're gonna try and find a job, right? It's work. And as I said in my previous video, a lot of professional immigrants came to Canada, or skilled workers came to Canada through that program. That meaning that you use your profession in order to, your profession is what qualifies you, along with other things, which I'm gonna get into in other videos, in order to come to Canada. So with that being said, in your head you're like, yes, they want me, this is what they want, I have it, and if I didn't have it, they wouldn't, I wouldn't get through on the process. So the first thing you're thinking about is, okay, I'm coming here and I'm gonna find a job. Now, another disclaimer is that I have spoken to other individuals in terms of like my co-workers, because a lot of my co-workers are migrants as well, friends, and just acquaintances as to who have come from developing countries or other countries to Canada. So some of the things that I'm talking about, it doesn't relate to me personally. While some may relate to me personally, some might not. Some might be other person's experience, if you get what I mean, right? So just listen up and just take what I'm saying and apply it. If you're coming, just know that, okay, this is the reality based on other person's experience. You might come and you might not have that reality in 100%, but maybe 50%. So when they come, they're like, okay, we're gonna look at a job, and So you start out by setting your resume. Now, when I came in 2012, right? So the internet, smartphone was being used. Okay, so people use laptops, people use their phone, and they do their searches, and they see jobs that fit their qualification, their background, professional background, and they decide that, okay, I'm gonna apply for a job. Now, as I said, the expectation is they're gonna find a job quickly, probably within the first month or 3 months. Okay, and the reality is that is not so for most of the individuals that I've spoken to, and for myself as well. That was really not so. It took them some time for them to find a job. Some persons say they got a job in 6 months. Some persons say they got a job, it took them a year or more. Not just they were working, but not in their field that they used to work back home. Because the reality is you're gonna come to Canada, and even though that um your professional background, whatever you have acquired back home, you bring it into Canada, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna find a job within that field at right away. You know, some persons tell you they struggle for years not being able to find the job that they want, and it has a lot of multi factors that come into play. You know, one of the things is that even though you have the qualification coming into Canada, most of the time they take persons who have the Canadian experience. The one of the first thing I remember going on a job interview, and based on the professional background that I had coming into Canada, when I did the job interview and everything was done okay, and the first thing they asked me is like, do you have Canadian experience? And I'm like, no, I don't have Canadian experience. I'm a new immigrant. I just come into Canada, and willing to gain a Canadian experience, but this is my background. And they were like, oh, we would prefer somebody who have a Canadian experience. And my thought process was, then if I'm new and I'm coming into Canada, how am I gonna get the Canadian experience? I have to start somewhere, right? So that is most persons that I've spoken to that have been their experience. They could get jobs, but the jobs didn't match up to their qualifications. And I know a lot of persons have heard before, because it's no secret that you have individuals, even such as doctors, coming from their country with a wealth of knowledge. And when they come back, when they come into Canada, they migrate, and come to Canada on the skilled worker program. They're told that, oh, they can't use what they have back home to work here. And that lead me into the next point that I want to make, and that is the fact that they push for you to go back to school. Go back to school because they would prefer to see, at least if it's even a diploma, they prefer to see that on your resume than just see your schooling be only from outside of Canada. So one of the reality when you come to Canada is that 9 out of 10 times, in order to settle down into your field, you have to go back to school to do some upgrade, or to even go parallel to what you have, meaning you have a degree already and you come back to do another degree just to make yourself more marketable in Canada. Okay, some individuals have even had to switch professions. They have to switch professions in order to make it, because they're like, I was told, somebody told me that they're not going back to school to do the same thing. They would prefer to do something else that is more what would I say, more in demand, so they don't have to struggle in order to find the job that they think they deserve, right? Because the reality is that you become more marketable if you have a Canadian school or Canadian experience as an immigrant in Canada. That makes you more marketable, and that has been a lot of, well, the person that I've spoken to, that has been their experience. And if anyone who is on my channel and lives in Canada, or come across my channel and lives in Canada, Tell me in the comment what your experience have been as it relates to your expectation coming from your country and then coming to live in Canada as it relates to finding a job and having to go back to school. Tell me, leave a comment and tell me what your experience have to be. Another point that I want to touch on in terms of expectation and reality is that you're coming from back home. Some come as individuals, some come as a family, right? And then what happened is that when you first come, some of us come, we come to live with other families that have been here before. Some of us come, we have nobody. So basically, our first trip from the airport is to a hotel. But in our mind, because we come with that funds, because that's one of the criteria under the skilled working program, that you have to have a certain amount of funds. And I get it in my videos to come and get into all of that. You have to have a certain amount of funds in order to qualify to come, and they ask you for that when you land at the airport. You have to show them proof, right? So even though individuals have to go to the airport, or they have to, stay with other family members or friends, what we call in Jamaica, we catch with them. In our mind, we're thinking we're not gonna do that for long, right? Because we have our money and we're gonna look at place. But the reality is that you might not find somewhere right away. You find yourself having to either stay with whoever you're with, if they're willing to accommodate you longer than what you had desire, or you have to find somewhere that back home you wouldn't be caught dead living like that, right? It's either you're gonna be rooming with other individuals that you know nothing about, or you have to find apartment in an area that is not so safe, because we do have those what you call low income housing area. I don't look down on anything, but I'm just saying that's the reality. You have to leave out of the hotel room with your family and find somewhere. And that the reality is that it is challenging for a lot of persons. If people tell you how challenging it have been when they have leave their country and come to Canada, you will not believe, because in your mind you would think that it's gonna be easy, but believe me, it's not easy. Saying this to say that don't be discouraged, though. Don't be discouraged, and I'm not telling anybody not to come, because opportunities are here. It's just that it might be for 90 to 95% of those who come here. It takes time. It can be frustrating, and it's not like stepping out and just easily just transitioning. Some people tell you like it's starting all over again. It takes probably some people, for them to really settle and find themselves, it takes some persons 5 years. While some people, the transition process has been less. It might be a year, it might be 2 years, but in reality, just think of it of that way, to say, okay, you're starting all over again at the bottom to the top again. Not that you cannot reach the top, but it's gonna take time. You're not just gonna leave the level that you were at from back home and then come into Canada and then you just easily transition and be at that same level or be higher. It takes time. So that's just some of the stuff that I wanted whoever is thinking of migrating and coming, come. Don't get this video wrong or anything. Come. But just know that your expectation might not meet the reality that's here. It might be a little bit more challenging than you thought. And if you are set up in with the mindset and have the determination to progress, no matter what, you're determined to do what you have to do in order to reach to the level that you want, both professionally and in your personal life, you can make it. You can make it. It's just that there are struggles there. There are a lot of barriers there. And just remember, Canada is a multicultural country. A lot of individuals live in Ontario, and the major city is Toronto, and it's a melting pot of individuals, and individuals are looking out for their people. So that's even one of the other reality that you have to encounter with in trying to transition, even with finding a job. So just bear that in mind, and I hope this video shed some light or give someone some awareness who is planning on migrating to Canada or have already gotten through and is coming to Canada. It's just a setup to say, okay, this might be the true transition, and that will help you mentally as well. You know, that will help you mentally as well. All right, thanks for listening, and leave a comment, share the video, share my video with your family and your friends, and in the next video we'll get into more about living in Canada, the ways to come to Canada. I know I've been saying it from my first or second video that I'm gonna do it, and believe me, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gathering the information, because when I did it, things have changed, you know, and I just want to make sure I have the correct information to relay, you know. Thanks again, and I'll see you in my next posting. Love you all. Bye.